Why does it cost about $50,000 to climb Mount Everest? You're telling me that they've gated off the entire mountain and there's just a toll booth with a guy sitting in it and you have to hand him $50,000 to climb the mountain? Forgive me if I'm mistaken, but Mount Everest is a mountain. I'm from New York. I've seen things that are tall before. On occasion, I have seen mountains. Go ahead and try to stop me. I will hop the fence. That's like charging people to use the ocean. You're telling me that the government of Mount Everest is no better than New Jersey? Here's a bit of backstory. Mount Everest was invented by Johnny Everest. Do you think our beloved Johnny Everest, our sweet, sweet Johnny, would want you to pay $50,000 to climb his mountain? Yes, probably. Mount Everest is the tallest mountain in the universe, at 7 million feet tall. That's about the size of Alaska, which also has mountains. Only 20 people have ever seen Mount Everest. Mount Everest is a mountain. Mount Everest is the mountain. There were no such things as mountains until Mount Everest, which is short for Mountain Everest. If you ever rest on Everest, you will forever rest, because you'll be dead. Some people spend days, weeks even, on Mount Everest because they're weak. But for people like me, it's a day trip. I could leave a cake, a blueberry pie, baking in the oven, climb the mountain, come back, and still have 5 more minutes before that bad boy is finished. People like to overcomplicate Mount Everest. You go up, and then you come down. You can go up and down the mountain several times in a single day. It's all about your mindset. It turns out that people spend thousands of dollars on equipment to climb Mount Everest. They buy premium insulated snowsuits when they should just go in the summer. I'll climb Mount Everest in my jorts. Cold temperatures are all in your head. They also spend their money on oxygen tanks. Last time I checked, Mount Everest is on planet Earth. There's oxygen everywhere. Apparently the air is 3 times thinner at the very top. Just breathe 3 times as often. Duh! I don't know about you fools, but the challenges of Mount Everest are just anti-Mount Everest propaganda. Mount Everest may be the tallest thing ever, but it's still just a rock. So, hi everyone. This was a string of jokes that I kinda came up with after watching some videos back in January and February. When I was making my Bigfoot video, I watched the movie The Missing Link. I became enamored with the beauty of Mount Everest and the Himalayas in general. And after looking up videos of people climbing them, I started getting recommended disaster videos of people not successfully climbing them, which then led to videos about cave diving disasters getting recommended to me, but that's besides the point. These videos feed into our morbid curiosity, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't find them interesting. So I made a lot of jokes about Mount Everest in this, and it wasn't meant to be taken factually in any way. I mean, obviously, right? Despite how expensive and remote it is, Mount Everest has actually become kind of a tourist spot. From what I've heard, it's not the most technically challenging climb that there is, but it's still dangerous. This has actually led to an increase in pollution on the mountain, which soils its natural beauty. From what I've seen, Nepalese Sherpas earn about $6,000 for a 2-month expedition, whereas the average Nepalese salary is $7,000 a year. However, there can be an issue with commodifying the experience of climbing Mount Everest. If a wealthy person with very little experience climbing mountains wanted to, they could just buy the trip to Mount Everest. They would be putting a Sherpa's life at risk, but they can afford to do that. It's common for the life of a wealthy Western climber to be more valued than a native Nepalese Sherpa. Mount Everest is considered sacred by the Nepalese and Tibetans, but for Western climbers, it's just a tick on their bucket list. Which brings me back to the naming of Mount Everest. George Everest was the Surveyor General of India from 1830 to 1843. He never climbed or even even saw the mountain. In Nepalese, the mountain is called Sagarmata, which means goddess of the sky. In Tibetan, the mountain is called Qomolangma, which means goddess mother of the earth. The mountain lies in between Nepal and Tibet. It costs $11,000 to get a climbing permit from the Nepalese government, and it can reach $18,000 to obtain one from the Chinese government, which controls Tibet. If you do plan to climb the mountain, tread carefully, but also tread with honor and respect. Respect the Sherpas that guide you, and maybe get some mountain climbing experience first instead of just buying an adventure, because if you mess up, it's a long way to the bottom.